That's good. Gonna show some old breakdown of the USD CAD cycles. Alright. A gang of shit for you right here. Ain't no secrets in this bitch. Polar opposite, actually. Alright, so anyone that's new to GAN is definitely going to want to do something along these lines. But you know, I'm fairly new to GAN, maybe 2 months in, with actually studying his actual work, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months. You know, I've been pissing around with his tools for a while. You know, that's just geometry, right? You do, however, need, you know, geometry will take form. You can have, and I should have known this a lot sooner. I have known it the whole time, but I just wasn't able to apply it to the markets through Nassim Haramein's work, a world-class physicist. Nassim Haramein. He's really established that there's a 0 point. You could consider this a mini black hole as well. And this 0 point is in all points of space and time. It is nothingness, right? It is empty space. And physical matter itself is the 0.00001% of existence of what is physical matter. It is that small. I believe that's almost an exact measurement, 0.0001% of what is what is, right? So it is, you know, the rest of everything else in the universe, the 99.9999949, that is nothingness, or at least from what we can perceive on the visible spectrum, right? But you know, we're not running into shit. You know, for us, it's nothingness. So we've established that there's a 0 point everywhere, basically, except for where your 0.0001% is. You know, there's going to be structured geometry there. And as far as I'm concerned, that 0.001% is what you want to be finding, and is where you, oh, that's a fucking coincidence, Jesus Christ, what is the chance of that? It's the exact number, and it's on the sun. Whoa, that's just gave me the creeps. What the fuck? I'm telling you, this shit will fucking blow your fucking mind. But it'll make you reevaluate everything you've ever believed in your life, period. Nassim Haramein's work will do that. I could point you to a number of other great minds that could really give you a much deeper perspective than what is floating around in the mainstream. So, and neither here nor there. What the point that I was trying to make there is that there is that just that 0.001. I guess there's only 3 zeros. I thought there was 4. That 1% is where the geometry will lie, right? Everything else is nothingness. So going into a chart, you know, coming into a chart and then just grabbing a high and a low and, you know, changing the scale and doing all that, laying geometry everywhere, you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You're trying to find that 0.001%. Good fucking luck. You will stumble across it with enough geometry. You'll lay enough lines, you're going to stumble across it just because you're in proximity, right? Like, I'm just throwing lines everywhere. Eventually, the fucking price is going to hit it. And if you can eyeball angles, right, like 45-degree angles, just general angles that the price, you know, that the that's been taking place in the price, you're gonna hit those because that is overall geometry, right? And honestly, for starters, for beginners, I would really try to train your eye for that. I mean, just in, noobs to trading in general, for basic price action. Really just try to spot the key angles. We're down here, we're sideways here. We're down here, oh, we're up here. And just go with that. That's easily the best trade system out there, that is, extremely, just obvious and simple to do. But what, again, you're just not going to find that 0.001%. All right. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Believe me. Go look at Nassim Harameyn's work. Go look at Metatron's cube, the flower of life, the seed of life, all these multi-dimensional complex geometries. I have mapped them out endlessly from every point you can think of, on every different time frame, on every different scale. So the geometry is not your answer until you know where things are. But when you know where these are, you don't need the geometry's pointless. I hate to get on that fucking bandwagon because everybody just fucking dick rides Gann like he was Jesus Christ himself. But he's right. Time is definitely the most important thing. And it's time to buy and it's time to sell. I don't give a fuck if the price came all the way up here. Okay, sick. It's time to sell here. And I was making money the whole way up here. But, and that is the entire point of forecasting. And I see all these people with Gann tools and stuff on their chart, but they're not forecasting. Forecasting is you're going to have a low here, and then we're going to a high here. Then we're going to a low here, and then we're going to a high here. That's extremely difficult to do with any sort of accuracy. And when I say accuracy, I mean within a day. If you suck, then 2 days. But it's that's the thing of it. So when you can see, personally, my overall belief of this whole astrological trading is that we're really just, it's kind of like a bigger fractal. If I were in the chart here and I had the perfect levels and it tinged right on it, I found that sweet spot, whatever, it's like a bigger fractal of that. It's going to tell you where the energies are, and these energies will go anything you want, from 1,000,000 years from now, what should be taking place, to, this was the Julian day this long ago, 8333, which is 12, I believe, 12 divided by 360 or something like that. This was one of my ratios, though, that I used in my other video for squaring a month. So I do believe it is it's 12 divided by 365 or 360. 12 months in a year. That's what I was working on before. But and these numbers are just creeping me out the way that came. That was weird. But let's get into this, because fuck, there's a lot going on here. I feel like I really wanted to make another point before I got into this, but whatever. This is just a dissection, I guess you could say, of the USD CAD, and it is, I'll be completely honest with you, this is in total hindsight. This was my back testing, right? So this is my back testing. So, and by all means, you're going to want to do this on whatever your favorite market is, whatever market pays you best. And then you got that tight spread, right? So find the market for you that you want to trade, and then you need to go through the highs, the lows, find and eventually work your way down into the micro movements. But find the swing highs and the swing lows, swing high, swing low, and you need to see what type of astrology is taking place at those points. Okay? Now, on the all-time low of the USD CAD, right here, where this green line is, we've had this configuration. Okay, so what was going on then is, and I've written it all down, and I'm just going to read this. Uranus is in retrograde and trine with the sun. And I'll go through the first little bit here slow, I guess. So Uranus is this one here, this green thing, which they're color coded here, right? So Uranus. It is in, what did I say, trine? Yeah, it's a trine with the sun. Move it up so we can see everything here. So it's in trine with the sun, which is just a triangle, right? It's in some sort of a triangular formation, which really just means, to the best of my knowledge, that the degree, or the angle of degree, is that of a triangle, right? It's an angle that you would see to create a triangle with our perspective from Earth, right? So, and Earth being the center here, right? So you would have the perspective of that, boom, that triangle. There's that pyramid in there. Yeah, I could be completely off with that, but I know that it is, with how I laid that out. But I know it is the triangle here. Okay, so again, I'm new to this, and this is going through things. And when regardless of being new, if you comprehend the information, there's no issues with this type of thing. I don't think that it does take the 20 years that people are saying, and that they're still, I really don't see that taking place, because they're cycles, they're specific things. And I mean, H.W. Steele does a wonderful job showing very specific cycles, like using Mercury as it moves around, boom and boom, and that is not debatable. It's not like, oh, is it happening now? No, the numbers are there. You're looking for specific degrees, and then things like Uranus is in retrograde here. You're waiting for it to kind of max out its retrograde wobble. All right, so this is Uranus. It is in that point where it starts to, and retrograde just means when it's coming down here. It's going counterclockwise. There's a planets on this zodiac, and so Uranus would be coming down, and then it does a wobble, right? Because it's been going on for so long. It's been going around for so long, right? And I'm not exactly sure whether it's at the nodes and maybe the poles where you see that wobble. But nevertheless, the planet will stop its cycle and give you that wobble, which that's the whole big Giza pyramid. They were aware of the Earth's tilt and wobble and all of that, which we've just discovered not too long ago at all. But and that's what's taking place there. It is when it's in retrograde, right? So that's what the first point was. It's in retrograde, and it's a trine with the sun. So I do believe it's making a very specific angle between the sun and itself and the Earth, right? From the geocentric model, right? So what else? That's just the one formation. We have Neptune. That's this guy here. He's in trine with the moon, right? And the moon is also in sextile with Jupiter. So just very important angles going on, right? And it shows you these angles here. Okay? Shows you the angles of the houses, where they're at, and the colors of them, of the houses here, indicate their element signs, right? So earth, wind, fire, and water. So what else have we got here? Sorry, I'm just operating on no sleep and fucking stoned as shit right now, so I might periodically zone the fuck out. Bear with me. So the moon is sextile to Jupiter. We did that, and Jupiter is nearly. This is Jupiter here, the little yellow 4 thing. Jupiter is nearly in conjunction, with Pluto, which is right here. So literally, like in the next couple days or so, it was in conjunction. I wouldn't put as nearly if it wasn't happening very shortly thereafter. We also have Venus has nearly completed its a complete rotation from the 0 point, right? If this was your XY axis, this is your 0 point, going counterclockwise, boom, back to 360. And that's what Venus has done. Okay? So a lot of stuff going on that November 7th low that we see there. All right, and then after that, and that was a 2-year rally, right, to the downside previously. It was longer than that, actually. It was many more years. It was like 5 or something years. It went back all the way to as much data as I have with my broker. So that was the all-time low, right? So we then, the market rallies until December 13th, 2007, which is here, and puts in a standard double top from this point here to that point there. Very standard double top. And December 11th, which is the pink line here, displays the cycle stop point. I'm not sure why I wrote that. Or geometric, let me read that again. December 11th displays the cycle stop point or geometric alignment of the planets, indicating that this trend is over. Okay, so that's a really nerdy way of saying this cycle or this little push-up is done. All right, that's weird. But anyways, this is what takes place next from this point. We then have, this is on the December 11th, so this is right at this this pink line here. This is the astrology that was taking place. Right, so we have, shows a sextile with Uranus and the moon. So where are we at here? Here's Uranus and the moon, sextile. And also you got Pluto. Sorry, that's what's it called? Neptune, and is also in sextile with a conjunct pair of the Sun and Mercury. And sorry, I believe the Sun and Mercury are just about to come into. I couldn't. Sun and Mercury or Mars. I guess I don't even have that written down there. But that is what's happening here. Is we've got the Sun and we have Mercury that we're just in conjunction, right? Or they're about to be, I do believe. And Pluto and Jupiter are in conjunction. This is when Jupiter just crossed over, and I'm pretty sure I wrote that in here, right? What? No? Okay. Yeah, I was sitting here editing the way I had things lined up, but that is definitely what was my, the major thing that stood out to me when I just went back to the market in total hindsight and started pinpointing these highs and stuff. That and just cycling. I just went through my astrolog here, cycled through the different the times around here, just a few days, weeks, months, whatever. That's very easy to adjust once you get the feel for astrolog. And these programs really aren't that hard. It's just kind of weird, it's talking about weird shit, right? But it's just not something that you would typically use in everyday conversation. And that was the hardest learning part for me. Doing this, what you're seeing now, is fucking so easy. It's just learning these, like, what is this symbol? What is that symbol? What is, you gotta memorize the symbols, or just, read it enough and you will memorize it, I'm sure. But I'm not quite at that point yet. But what I've taken from this is on December 11th at that high, this is some pretty dramatic alignments, right? We've got the sextile there. We've got the sextile into a conjunction, into a pair that's about to conjunct. And just after that, Jupiter is crossing into the 10th house, and Pluto is here. It was just passed over by Jupiter, right? So all sorts of stuff going on. And then we have Mars is in a trine with Venus, and that trine is linked with a sextile on both sides to the to Saturn here, and from Saturn to Mars as well, really creating like a triangle. Stepping in here, kind of a Pythagorean look to it. Huh? So really interesting stuff. Big energy going on there. Showing a sextile with Uranus and the Moon. Just going through some of the stuff that I had here. A conjunction with the Sun and Mercury, which are also sextile to Neptune. Right, well, that's Mercury. Oh, right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, Neptune, Mercury, the Sun. Mars and Venus have squared up, and that's that. And that's actually not a square, that is a trine. So again, this is just my back testing, and just to show you the thing to get an idea for when you're looking to trade astrology. There's different formations that are going to be happening, but to me, it really stands out. Like if you go and look at this kind of play, or like the stuff in the middle, you really don't quite get such dramatic geometry that takes place. You don't get a completed triangle like that, like ever, right? Like it just rarely happens. You'll get the odd line here or there, but mostly that's just with the moon. If you're using the moon, it goes around pretty fast. And then we have the north, and it's the moon especially, it's just lining up with everything. But the more planets you have on there, the more stuff you're gonna have. So I've tried to keep everything, all the extra stuff off. I only use kind of the things that I kind of more understand the geometry to, and I can really recognize, and that would be the sextile, the trine, and the square, which isn't shown here, but just drop it down to somewhere else. There's a square there. So we've got the moon. So that's what I mean. Anytime it's the moon, I'm not going to be too thrilled about it. But there's other things to consider too, I'm sure, with the moon. But with this example, the moon was squared to Venus. We also had Neptune was trine to the conjunct Mars and Mercury. So that's pretty cool. See how they're coming together, they're intersecting and crossing. And it was the Sun and the Moon that were sextile to each other. So some pretty strong energy going on there, right? It definitely stands out when you go and look at them, and you just roll the wheel, let it go, let it go by the day or even the hour within the day, to try to catch a good read when you might get some energy coming in. But just to show you the effectiveness of this. And then there's another pretty nice complex geometric structure taking place, and then just a really unique structure that you just don't see this kind of thing take place all the time. It stands out, it really does, and it's so easy just to roll through the zodiac, and to be able to, when these pop up, it's like, oh, they really do stand out. This was, I thought, pretty important because, the Sun and Saturn were in opposition to each other. I do use the opposition as well. It doesn't happen a whole lot, especially with some, certain planets. Saturn, or excuse me, the Moon, close enough. The Sun was basically in conjunction with Neptune, and they were in opposition to kind of the Moon as well, right? And Saturn. So I thought that was pretty significant, and it's kind of creating like whatever it's creating. I was gonna say like a kind of like a box with a fixed range where it an axis, right? It's cutting through the middle there of this sextile between Venus and Jupiter, right? And you've also got in here all sorts of stuff going on in here, and like that's what I mean. Like this stuff stands out because the planets aren't spread out. You know, they're not doing their things are going on, and we've got Mercury that just passed over Mars, and it's in retrograde. No, it's not. But Venus and Saturn are in retrograde, and that would be Saturn, which is, you know, in that main thing, right? It's in retrograde, so what that means, it's wobbling around. It's polar opposite in the universe of the Sun, which is coming together with Neptune. Or Uranus, excuse me. It's just absolutely wild stuff. And like I said, we've got the sextiles crossing each other over, really creating more geometry. There's a little triangle in there. You can see that. So it just, you know, you don't see this kind of thing taking place all the time. So get out there and spot those connections. Spot, you know, are there highs and lows coming in at those points, right? And then look at this geometry, creating like a pentagram or like an octagon. That's pretty dope. But I got it all written out here, so I'm going to go through all this later. We got this A shaping up, right? Pentagram. It's wild stuff, man, and it's not hard once you get a feel for the programs and stuff. And you know, like I said, by no means am I an expert, but it's, you know, I'm taking to it like a fish in water. And you know, I have no degree in physics. I was put into basic math classes in high school. The numbers I just don't see. It's like that expression, judge a fish on its ability to swim, on its ability rather to climb a tree, and it will live its entire life thinking it's stupid. But you know, what I do see, I see the geometry quite well. I can draw it out quite well, which isn't hard. But you know, I had the fluidity with it. I had the confidence as well. I'm not worried about things. I have a strong mental composure. So those are all key things in trading. You definitely want to get kind of build a numbness to it. Like at the start of this video, you want to be numb. This guy's saying numb the pain with the money, but you want to be numb to the money, is what I'm saying. Because once you're numbing the pain with the money, like that's so temporary and fleeting, and it's weak. It's really not. It doesn't come from a position of, you know, power or solidity. So anyways, this has been going on long enough. I think we've made this pretty clear. Got double bottoms going on, and then we had a real nice long break here. This was an interesting part of the USD CAD. You know, we had that long break. There was the December 11th. That's that first, you know, that was our all-time low. There was that high. Then we just went sideways the whole time, and then boom, we were kind of going fire and, you know, kind of fying out on this level a bit, and in holding, maintaining this level, this sideways action, right? We're going up here, we're going sideways on a bit bigger scale, but we are going down here, right? So that's fractals. We had an up fractal here, but we are still sideways, right? So blending your fractals together, but we do break above, and you know, we have 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many touches as resistance up here. If we are going to drop, you would think it would take place, but you know, at some point here, you know, even back here, you'd be looking, I bet you a bunch of people were trying to sell this, and then nope. But we then eventually break above, really establish a break above, and then ting, ting, ting. This is a really nice looking like kind of flag pattern, right? Or a wedge or ascending wedge or something. But you then have here, we've got some very unique geometry as well, which is right here. We've got conjunctions, we've got squares, sextiles, and trines. We've got a recent conjunction passing by. We've got coming into a new house right here. All right, so lots of stuff going on there. And multi-dimensional geometry, right? It's coming together, so there could be a surface here, and this is what I mean by I see the geometry well. Then you have a flat surface here standing up. You've got that triangle here, and there's bases coming off here. There's a triangle as well, and a rounded formation here within the zodiac. It creates that rounding effect, if you can see that. But anyways, going on for 30 minutes. I'll wrap this up. Get in there, bud. Fucking get in there and backtest the shit. Alright? Let's get paid.